Everyone. My name is Matt Thomas. I'm the founder of Daylight. Just a few months ago, I used to work at Deloitte. I was a partner there. I was part of the generative AI team at Deloitte. I was one of the first folks to start building tools leveraging generative AI nearly as soon as the OpenAI models really started to come out. Deloitte has an Azure subscription, so our approved models were to use the Azure OpenAI API. And the main thing that we did initially was we just released our own, you could call it a secure clone of ChatGPT. And that only goes so far for a lot of reasons that even Janik mentioned. And what we realized was people don't necessarily know how to prompt, and we can teach them. But what people want is to click a button and get a really good result. So I started building a lot of Gen AI tools, little widgets that would help write user stories for people in software development. There'd be a product manager or a project manager on your team, and they might spend weeks and weeks writing user stories, little sentences, thousands of them describing software. And so we found out that you can do that in minutes. And it's a first draft, not a final draft. That's something we always described. Something else Janik said, which was really true for us too, is that when internal IT of large organizations gets involved, they tend to do long code freezes. And I'm pretty innovative. And they asked me to stop working on this app for 9 months because that's how long it would take to do a security review. And for some people, that's okay, but I get itchy. And so I knew that I couldn't wait 9 months and basically do nothing. So I launched Daylight. So I'm here to talk about that agency, Daylight. We're a new kind of partner for non-technical folks who want to build software. Building a product is tough. Yeah, if you have the right people, that's amazing. But if you don't, you have two options. You may pay $500,000 to buy services from, say, a Deloitte. You may pay 1 to 200 to work with maybe a smaller boutique agency. You may spend 20, 30, $50,000 to work with freelancers. Or you may just endlessly search for the right co-founder. This is expensive. That's a high cost of innovation, something else Janik also mentioned. So we wanted to solve that problem. Daylight started off as an ed tech startup. Just over the summer, so I quit in May. The first thing we did is we taught people how to build apps. We taught people to use Claude Code. We taught people how to download VS Code. We taught people how to do Git, as he was describing. And we helped over 50 people, some of them were teenagers, some as young as 13 years old, ship apps to the web. But none of them actually kept working on it. And we wanted to know why. We taught you all these skills. How come you're not still working on your business idea or your app? And the answers were all similar. What do I do now? How do I do marketing? How do I fix a bug? How do I find my first 10 users? Almost all of them said, can you help me with launching? And so this hypothesis that if we just teach people how to use these tools, all of them will all of a sudden become creators. That was a bit of a false assumption on our part. And we found out within 3 months of doing that type of work. So what we wanted to do was work on an agency that supports people in actually launching their tools to market. Vibe coding tools. Vibe coding is this term where, using English, it's like an English to JavaScript translator, like ChatGPT can really be. So there's other tools like Lovable out there, but even Lovable has poor retention for the exact same reasons. People don't know what to do after they actually launch their app. So we launched Daylight. We're an agency for non-technical domain experts with deep domain expertise and awesome product ideas. And our team is some of the best consultants, startup founders that I've ever gotten to work with. And so I want to take you through a scenario of how our app and our tooling works. So I'm going to tell you a story about the last client. Well, we're still working with him. His name is Shane. He's in Tampa Bay, and he heard about us online. So he had an idea, and he's kind of been in real estate development for a very long time. He knows land use laws. He knows zoning information. And he knows it's really messy. Maybe there's like 6 different documents across different websites to figure out what can I actually build or do on this plot of land. And there's really expensive solutions out there, $500 to get a report just to know what you can do on a piece of land. And he had a vision. What if I just entered an address and the next screen tells me, can I split the lot? Yes or no? Can I build an alternative dwelling unit? Yes or no? And so Shane found us, and he learned that what we do is every Daylight project starts with Sprint Zero. This is a short guided process where we've developed AI agents that do the work of a product and design team. They ask you questions about the problem you're trying to solve, and they craft a problem statement. They ask you questions about the minimal viable features you need in your app so you can get a roadmap. And then they ask you what's going to be the user journey. And after they do all of that, we get that information. So they do that. It takes about an hour. They didn't even, I still haven't spent an hour of my own time working with them. We get the information. We have other background agents doing market analysis, tech stack considerations. And by the time we book our first call with Shane, and I'll show you, we've done a lot of work and we did all of that for free. For folks who have worked with agencies or worked with consulting firms, you know you typically don't get that much for free. You may get something, but you don't get that much. You may have to spend $20,000 to $50,000 to even get that much. So we can do that for free because I'll just share our internal cost information. For us to do that, it probably costs us less than $5, right, in credits across all the tools we use. And that's like the big opportunity about how AI is changing things. So when you log into our site, this is what it looks like. Literally, you create an account and boom, you land here. On the left-hand side, you have a few agents. Casey Dreams. Casey Dreams, here, let me zoom in a little bit. Casey Dreams is an agent that talks to you about the problem you're trying to solve. Max Vision creates a product charter, your MVP feature list. Journey Depp, my wife loves Johnny Depp, so we called him Journey Depp. He creates the user journey artifact for you. Claire Prep does a few questions just to like round out the gaps, and then you have a live conversation with myself, Matt, and my co-founder, Jay. For a lot of people are new to this, so we have little videos, they're like 4 or 5 minutes long, but they really kind of delve into how to pick a good problem to solve, how to think about an MVP feature set. So I'm going to show you Shane's work, actually. Just give me a sec. Okay, so this is Shane. So I'm in my admin view. I can like see the work Shane has done. I'm not going to walk through the entire conversation, but I'm just going to give you a sense of what it's like to work with our agents. So Casey. Hi, I'm Casey Dreams. Before we jump in, take a quick look at the intro video on the right. We'll cover some key concepts. Shane did that. He said ready. Okay, great. Before we dive in, tell me a little bit about your work. What do you do and what industry are you in? And Shane starts talking about how he's in urban planning and is a GIS professional. Okay, finally, Casey says, since you've already picked the problem you want to tackle, can you tell me more about it? And Shane starts talking about this product idea in his head, Buildwise. And I won't read this part, but it's the idea. You type in an address and you very quickly find out what you can do on that property. So there's a bit of a conversation here, probably like 20 turns, it takes maybe 10, 15 minutes. And at some point, Casey says, awesome, I can now turn this into a problem statement and an opportunity statement. And so Casey saves that opportunity statement to the right. So this is what Casey does, and this is what everyone's missing, right? Non-technical people have deep domain expertise. They know their problems, they know the workarounds, but can they draft really well-crafted artifacts like a clear problem statement, a very well-scoped out MVP draft? That's where you need the digital consultants, but it turns out AI can do this really well. So after 15 minutes, Shane gets his problem statement. Who are the primary users? Apologies if this is hard to read. And a how might we statement. How might we help property owners, small developers, and real estate professionals access clear, consolidated, and actionable zoning and land use information? Okay, the next step is talk to Max. Max does the same thing, starts talking about what's your ideal set of features. And we use the double diamond process, diverge and then converge on your MVP, as in pick the features that you need to launch on day one. And after a bit of a conversation here, Shane has decided, what did he put in his core features? Accurate parcel level zoning lookup with instant results, plain English zoning summaries like yes, no answers, direct yes, no answers, et cetera, et cetera. And we call it the brick and the fire hose because initially when you build an MVP, just build the brick, right? Build something simple that delivers the value. You can do it in a week or two. The future is the hose, we call it, and that's something you can always do after you validated the highest risk assumptions in your MVP. Then you go to Journey Depp. Journey Depp talk is really, okay, you have your list of features, but how does your user experience your app? Where do they land? What's the buttons they see? What do they do first? What do they do second? So after a little bit of a conversation, our agent summarizes a day in the life. This is more like a creative, like imagine you're the user and the persona, what's going on. Here's the user profile, and then here's the core user flows. Flow number 1, fast zoning lookup. What can I build here? Jamie opens Buildwise, sees a big search bar, types in 412 Oak Street, selects parcel from autocomplete, map zooms in, zoning panel loads instantly, et cetera, et cetera. So this is something that we don't, like the other thing is we don't want the AI to come up with these answers because there's tools that actually build an app for you with the prompt. But what they do is they make a lot of assumptions of what your solution should be, and you end up doing a lot of rework, and oftentimes it actually breaks. We want the product owner, in our case, the users, to really own their product vision. And our agents ask thoughtful questions, sometimes challenges the users. So we have, how many flows? Shane had 5 flows in his app. Then he talked to Claire, and then eventually we booked a check-in. Okay, so 1 week after doing this, I want to share with you what we did in the background. So while waiting for this meeting to happen, I have a bunch of admin-only mentors. It's a little hard to see too, but basically on the left-hand side, these are agents that are only available to us as the Daylight founders. And we have a front-end architect, we have a back-end architect, and I want to show you a few other things. We have a market validation mentor. This agent goes and tries to really understand, is there a real demand for a tool like this? Who are the competitors? How big is the market? Where you should launch? And our agent recommended launch in Austin. That was pretty cool. There's a product scope mentor who really analyzes the must-have features and kind of like does a second round of analysis on whether we got the right MVP scope. We have a tech feasibility and architect who says, okay, well, here are the feasibility analysis. Here's going to be the tech stack, etc. We always treat these as first drafts, not final drafts. But when we have all this information, we show up in the first meeting with an incredible amount of insight already done. So at this point, Shane has spent 1 hour on our tool. Of course, we read this in advance of the meeting, so we're prepared. And we also prepare a set of designs. So with that user journey, probably in about 2 minutes, we use another tool called UX Pilot. That's uxpilot.ai, fantastic tool for prototyping designs in particular. And we already built the frames for his app. So let's see if I can zoom in here. As you kind of like remember me describing the experience, what can you build here? Type the address. And then very quickly, you get a result. You can build a duplex here. Allowed uses, single family residence, yes. Accessory dwelling unit, yes, et cetera, et cetera. So we showed up. So there's about like an hour of investment on our time. We show up in this meeting and we've already delivered all of this value. Shane was like flabbergasted. He's like, I've been looking for someone to help me think through this the whole time, and I can't believe this is free. And at the end of the day, we ended up working with Shane. What we recommended was don't go to build right away. You still should like talk to property developers and do proper customer validation. So what did we do? We built a validation sprint playbook. This again is using our methodologies learned from like years in product development, but using AI, we can build this really, really quickly. And one of the favorite things that people do is after you end up talking to like the segments to do some research, people want to know, how do I decide to like go pivot or move ahead or stop? And so we have a decision framework. This is how you know to go. This is how you know to pivot. This is how you know to stop. What are the go signals? What are the pivot signals? What are the stop signals? People need this information. They love this stuff. So we recommended go do this and we'll build you a clickable prototype. And we charge our client $1,000. And we were profitable because I already told you how many hours we spent. It probably took another hour to do all this work. 3 hours of work, we charged $1,000. We could probably charge more, but we were happy to just, do that for Shane. And yeah, you could probably imagine how much all of this work would have cost if you hired an agency. So that's the basic idea behind Daylight. Yeah, we just help people, founders and non-technical people, really do this kind of work. And we're helping nonprofits. I'll just show you a couple other examples. There's an Ottawa-based nonprofit called One Prosper. They connect thousands of tutors in North America with girls in India, young girls who are trying to learn English. And so they've been using Google Sheets and Google Forms, and it's so manual. And they love doing it. They've been doing it for 10 years, but the problem is they can't scale. Like they can't go to 10,000. They can't go to 100,000. So we're building an app where we're able to like create cohorts, create learners, match them to tutors. Built this in 2 days. Took 2 days to build this app. And I won't go through all of it, but this is it's pretty incredible how fast you can build now. And the other thing I'll quickly show you is we worked with a mining company. There's a gold mining company that said, we want to better analyze our drill hole information. We do exploration. How can we go from drill holes? This is like gold samples. How can we go from this to quickly understanding how much it will cost to get this gold out of the ground and how much revenue we can make? This app took 7 days to build. So we take the drill hole information, we kind of like analyze the mineralized volume, it's called, which is like how much gold we think is in the ground. We know the average grade. Then how much, like what do you have to build around it? All waste rock in order to extract this gold out of the ground. That's your cost. It costs like a lot of money to dig it out of the ground or build this pit shell. You make almost no revenue from that. With all that information, we can forecast production. And ultimately, we know the cost of digging all this out of the ground and over the life of the mine. And we found out that this, like again, it's dummy data, but this has an MPV of $932 million. And all we did was we uploaded drill hole samples. We built that in 7 days. So yeah, things have changed, and we found that non-technical people know the problems they want to solve, but they kind of like get stuck when using the no coding tools. And so that's where Daylight comes in. We just love helping entrepreneurs. We love helping non-technical people. And so really excited to share that with you all. Thank you.